Welcome to Half Pint Cooking. I'm Stacy and I have Libby. And today, what are we gonna make?
Pumpkin rolls.
A pumpkin roll. Have you seen those pumpkin rolls that are all, it's like cakey and cream cheesy inside? That's what we're gonna make, and I'm gonna show you that it can look a little bit scary, but they're pretty easy to make. First of all, we need to turn our oven on to 350 degrees. Do you know how to do that? Jules is usually the one that turns our oven on, but today we're gonna teach Libby. Okay, come here. On our oven, we just hit bake because we want to do it in the upper oven. And look, it already says 350 degrees. So then we just push start. We have a word that we're gonna use today. I'm gonna teach you a new vocabulary word for cooking, and it's a French term and it's called mise en place. And that means getting everything together. So today what we did is we pre-measured all of our ingredients into these little cute little containers. Aren't these cute? Aren't they cute? I just think they're so cute, so we can just dump them in and make it go faster. So those are fun sizes. So it's called mise en place. Okay, say it with me. Mise en place.
Mise en place.
Mise en place, and that just means getting all of your ingredients together. Now this way, it's really good to do it because it makes sure that you have all of your ingredients and that you don't get halfway through and then you're like, oh no, I forgot I don't have any cinnamon, because that's an important ingredient in this. So just make sure that you have all of your ingredients. Yes, it dirties more dishes, that's why I normally don't do it, but today we wanted to. Okay, first of all, we need 3 eggs. Do you want to crack the eggs? Okay, we have our 3 eggs. We're gonna close this. And then we're gonna add 1 cup of granulated sugar. Do you wanna dump that in? Nice. Okay, now we're just gonna get our mixer. You can do this in like a KitchenAid or a Bosch. We're just gonna use our hand mixer today and just mix it until it's all smooth. Okay, that looks like a good lemony color. We can just sit this down like that so it doesn't make a mess. Now we're gonna add 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin. Do you wanna add that? Just dump all of it. Bleh. And then 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Now mix it up again. Leave it on the side, perfect. Now in this bowl, we're gonna mix all of our dry ingredients. So that's gonna be our
pancakes.
Like pancakes, yes. We do the wet and then we do the dry in a separate bowl. So in this one, we are gonna do 3/4 of a cup of flour. Okay, we have 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. Again, it sounds weird, but without salt, it has no flavor. We have 1 teaspoon of ginger. This is dry ground ginger. And then we have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Next, we have 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. And then we have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Once we get all of those in, we're just gonna get a little spoon and stir it around. Mix it all, and the reason why we do it in a separate bowl is because we don't want like the cinnamon to clump together, and so you're gonna get a strong bite of cinnamon and then the next bite's gonna be a strong bite of salt. That would be really gross. Because once it gets wet, they kind of start to clump together. So we wanna mix all the dry ingredients together in a separate bowl. That looks pretty good. And then once that's done, we can just put it in with our wet ingredients. Okay, you wanna dump it in? Get that out of the way. Okay, now just mix it up. Okay, next what we have to do is we're gonna get a jelly roll pan. And then we have a piece of parchment on top of it. Okay, and with this piece of parchment, let's move this out of the way for just a minute. These are pretty strong parchment papers. And I get them in the sheets already cut up instead of the roll that you have to cut. That's really annoying. So we need to spray it really good, because the worst thing about cake is if it gets stuck to the pan and it doesn't come off. That is the worst, because then your whole cake is kind of ruined. So what we do, we spray it this parchment paper, and and this is just flour. And we're gonna sprinkle the flour on it, and we wanna make sure that the flour gets all over the parchment paper. But because we sprayed it, the flour sticks to the places where it needs to. So I'm gonna do this over the sink. Just gonna shake it around and make sure it gets all the corners. Whoop. So now our parchment paper is covered in flour.
Wow.
So it won't stick. Okay, so I'm gonna dump, I'm gonna dump it kind of around like this, not just in one spot. Because this isn't a lot of cake to cover the whole pan because it just ends up being really thin. You got it? Okay, scrape it around like that. Look how much more. I love rubber spatulas. Like it almost looks clean, huh? Like no wasted cake.
There's some over here.
That's what we do with this. We spread it.
Can I spread it?
Yes, please do. Now, see how it's kind of uneven in places? What we do is we just kind of give it a little tap, a little shake. It starts to even out a little bit. We don't want to shake it too much because it's starting to move around. But what do you think? Looks good, huh? Okay, now we're gonna put this in the oven for 20 minutes. So to save on some dirty dishes, we are gonna use the same bowl that we used for our dry ingredients because it's pretty clean. I'm just gonna wash these, right? Okay, I got these washed. I'm gonna put them back in. This is our Cuisinart hand mixer, which I love. So we wanna make sure our butter and our cream cheese are at room temperature so that they mix. Our butter is actually kind of cold still, so I'm gonna put this in the microwave. But our cream cheese, you want to let that sit out, or you can put it in the microwave for a little bit too. But a secret that I really like is I buy the third less fat cream cheese. I usually don't like to buy, reduced fat stuff, but this stuff is really soft all the time, so you don't have to really let it sit out. So a lot of times I just buy this because it's already soft and I don't have to soften it. Okay, why don't you put that in and I'll soften the butter. So we have 6 ounces of cream cheese and then 4 tablespoons or a half of a cube, which is a quarter of a cup of butter, softened butter. Do you want to start mixing that? And I'm going to add, you can add your vanilla at this point. This is just a half of a teaspoon of vanilla. And then we have 1 cup of powdered sugar. Then I lift it up a little bit, tap it, and it will come right off of the mixer. Then you can turn it off. And then, what can we do with these?
Lick them.
I think we can lick these. There's no egg in these. It's all good stuff. So we have about 15 minutes left on our cake. So while we do that, we're just gonna clean up our mess and wait. This looks exactly what it's supposed to. Libby says it looks disgusting, but it's been 20 minutes.
No, now it doesn't.
Now it doesn't. Look, it's starting to pull away from the sides, which is great. Now we just want to let it cool down for a little bit, like 5 minutes. So I put it on a cooling rack to help it go a little bit faster. Okay, actually, while this is waiting, we're gonna push this to the side. So we have a towel. I like to use these really thin ones for this because then you don't end up with like the hairs from a towel on your food. So we do this, and Libby was just wondering what we're gonna do with this powdered sugar. And this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna sprinkle it on top of our towel. Okay, you wanna do it? Sprinkle it evenly. You can even spread it around after, who cares, right? This is gonna make it so the cake doesn't stick to the towel. Now, we are going to carefully, now this kind of makes a mess, but make sure it's all pulled off from the sides. It looks like it is, and it's gonna pull up really nicely, yeah. Perfect. not right there. Let's see what's going on here. I think a little bit of cake got underneath the parchment. Perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna carefully, after it's cooled down for a little bit, we're gonna flip it. Oh, do you see that cloud? That cloud of powdered sugar? It always happens. It's kind of a messy dessert. Yes, now we're gonna take the paper off. Carefully, pull it kind of at an angle. Because if you pull it straight up, the cake is gonna come up with it and then it's gonna crack your cake, which you do not want. See how I'm doing it on an angle? You can do it. Or you can pull from over here, what I already started. Okay, now here's the fun part too. What we do, not right now. Okay, so what we do now is we roll it up, just like, do you wanna roll it? You do that side, I'll do this side. Or you can do both sides, whatever. Okay, just like that. So you can let this cool out on the counter for a minute. I usually just put it in the fridge because it makes it go faster. So we're gonna stick it in the fridge for maybe like 5-10 minutes, and then we'll pull it out. But you can stick it in longer if you want to. Okay, so it's cooled down a little bit. Now we're just gonna unroll it like so.
What?
It cracked a little bit, that's okay. We are going to put our frosting down. Remember, we don't want to just put it all in one spot.
Can I mix it with that?
You can spread it around. You have to spread it very carefully. Now you don't want to go all the way to the top. You want to go all the way to the bottom. It just has to be a pretty thin layer. Okay, so now we've got the filling all over, spread all over. Now we're just gonna roll it again. But this time we wanna make sure that the towel does not go inside, because that would be gross. Towel mixed with, how would you cut that? Like towel mixed in with your pumpkin roll? Gross, right? So we don't want the towel in it this time. That's why we put the powdered sugar down, because it comes off of the towel nicely. Now I'm gonna pick it up a little bit and I'm just gonna move it to the middle because we wanna wrap it up again and then we're gonna let it cool down again. So this time you wanna make sure it's about 20 minutes and then when it's done, you're just gonna cut little slices out. Oh, it's ready!
Chop it with a towel.
I actually just leave it on my towel because I don't want it to stick to my cutting board. So we just cut it carefully. Look inside.
Can I eat that one?
What the? No, just kidding, I don't care. If you wanted to make these bigger, you could roll them the other way. We have 6 kids, so we need more, right? And they're pretty filling. You can't eat a lot of them. So we just kind of make them smaller. Thanks for watching HalfPint Cooking. Make this, hashtag, email us. We would love it if you would share it with us. Tag us, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Bye. Okay, my turn. Get it out. You're gonna have a messy face. It's kind of hot. Crap. It's like I'm picking your nose.